Some things needed changing in 2025, and some other things just didn't need to be touched or played with. Ghana, let's keep this and maintain this stance. We cannot bow to such foolery. Ghana must keep its dignity, its sovereignty, its strong family values. Despite that, we really need to look more at the more important picture here. I like how Mahama is keeping his chin up, his steez, his poise, but giving it to them exactly how it is. President John Mahama of Ghana has been giving us all the energy that we did not exactly expect, but surely knew we needed. And today I'll be diving shortly into some of the other points he made during his Bloomberg Next Up Africa interview. President Mahama recently made headlines calling out the IMF on their biases, arguing that multilateral institutions should focus on their economic mandates, rather than attempting to influence cultural values that don't align with Ghana's. In other words, other countries should mind their own business and let Ghana proceed in the way Ghana wants to proceed. In terms of discipline and economic stability, I love this. Although John Mahama was not quite my favorite picture or president pick for the late election, he has shown that he does have Ghanaians in his best interest, or at least that is what he's made us to believe. I don't know. Let's continue to observe because I am intrigued. But President Mahama is absolutely right. Other foreign institutions like the World Bank and IMF need to stop pushing Western ideologies that do not align with our culture and foundation as a country and continent, matter of fact. The conversation about Ghana's anti-LGBTQ bill has been a long-lasting conversation, and frankly, I am tired of it. Let's just call it what it is. It's unacceptable in Ghana. These acts are not to be done, found, or brought into Ghana. It's a no-no, straight like that, a no-no. In my eyes, this is more significant than President John Mahama signing this bill and removing LGBTQ from Ghana for good. This again is a chance for Ghana and other African countries to show they cannot be controlled, that we do not abide by such rules and regulations, but rules and regulations leveled and set by our own foundations and respectable cultural values that have been set for centuries. Some things needed changing in 2025, and some other things just didn't need to be touched or played with, and that is this anti-LGBTQ bill is one of them. Ghana, let's keep this and maintain this stance. When Mahama was directly asked about consequences due to not following what they want, he stated, if they decide to pull funding, well, it's their prerogative. Yes, it's their prerogative. Look, the IMF will make threats and attempt to put financial consequences in place to shake Ghana in defiance to their requests, but that's the bait. We cannot bow to such foolery. Ghana must keep its dignity, its sovereignty, its strong family values. We do not bow to the IMF or the World Bank. They can keep their money. I'm sure they can use it to instill and fund such buffoonery in other third world countries, but not in Ghana. I like how Mahama is keeping his chin up, his steez, his poise, but giving it to them exactly how it is. I would do the same. I'm sure we know that. But I don't have an issue with this, nor am I complaining. The previous version of the anti-LGBTQ bill expired after facing legal challenges and failed to receive presidential assent. But this was because Nana Akufo-Addo did not have the jugular to face this head on and do the right thing here. Instead, he let the fire get bigger and rather left it for the next president, which was predictable. Knowing Nana Akufo-Addo, he wasn't the type of president to stand against the odds. Let's be real. But despite that, we really need to look more at the more important picture here. The important picture here is family values. The man, woman, child trinity. The man, woman, children trinity. This is what they're trying to dilute and reduce in our societies. Already, as Black individuals, we struggle with the stigma of baby mama culture and absent fathers, fatherless homes. This is the struggle within the continent and abroad in the diaspora heavy. We cannot now have absent fathers, but fathers turn effeminate or emasculating. Absolutely not. During this interview, Mahama strongly emphasized that preserving family values should focus more on education than legislation alone. Valid. I agree. Teaching future generations those family values as they grow. This is what truly matters. Creating that space for them to understand the true importance of the family values that have been designed for humans since the beginning of time to reproduce and multiply and maintain the earth. The family values that have been brought about all of us in society today, the family values that have taught us how to have the leader and the helper of the household, the same family values that will create the future generations to come.
Proper family values are something we all are interested in, and we believe that is not only in the bills that we send to Parliament to regulate them, but also in teaching our children those family values even as they grow. And so looking at the curriculum in schools and inculcating those values in them, I think is the more important pressing issue that we must look at. This is a diverse world. We have different cultures. And so I don't think multilateral institutions should include, cultural imposition as part of their mandates. I don't agree with that. If they decide to pull it, well, it's their prerogative. But I don't believe that multilateral institutions like the World Bank and IMF should include in their mandates how people behave culturally.
Global diaspora, use our code Kasa. Allow me to introduce you to a solution that is revolutionizing money transfers for Africans worldwide. If you've grown frustrated with slow, expensive services, it's time to consider PayAngel, a platform designed by Africans tailored specifically to our unique needs. Gen Z, we need services that get us, and PayAngel does. PayAngel understands our needs, offering the best exchange rates and super fast transactions. Whether you're sending money to family or paying for business, it's all about convenience and trust. Plus, with PayAngel's easy-to-use app, you get more for your money and it's always safe. To experience the best service and value, use our code Kasa when downloading and transferring. Remember, use our code Kasa now. PayAngel, global payments, local simplicity. Okay, diaspora, now let's shift gears. Absolutely would just love not to talk about this. I wish it was never a thing. But the terror in DR Congo continues. We cannot catch a break. I've gotten more insight on the animalistic behavior once again among these M23 rebels. Despite the beheading of Christians by other militia groups in DR Congo, we need to continue to address the ongoing madness taking place in DR Congo. In late February, about 130 Congolese hospital patients were attacked, abducted and seized by M23 rebels from Rwanda. The fighters attacked 2 hospitals, specifically the CBCA in Dosho and Heal Africa Hospital in Goma, which, according to Ravina Shamdasani, a spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, said that it wasn't the first time that Goma was seized by the Rwandan M23 rebels. As we know, earlier this year, the rebels invaded Congo and killed over 3,000 people, the highest number of deaths within the past decade. They went to seize Bukavu, the country's second city. The reason being is because the region is rich in gold and coltan, as we know, which is a mineral used to produce and manufacture capacitors that are commonly used in electronics, such as laptops and smartphones. DR Congo has continuously and unfortunately become a target of unnecessary and unprovoked anger and violence. And the citizens have to pay the price. And for what? Nothing. As heartbreaking as it is to say this, but the rebels took away approximately 116 patients from the CBCA, along with 15 others from Heal Africa. Apparently, they were under the assumption that the people they killed were Congolese army soldiers or members of the pro-government Wazalendo militia. I don't know how much of this is true because they could be lying at the same time. So what I'm hearing is that innocent people, vulnerable hospital patients at that, were wrongly murdered because they assumed that they were a threat against them. It just doesn't make sense because, as you can see, hundreds of sick patients lost their lives in a senseless act of violence, and that to me is just disgusting, inhumane, and disheartening. Mr. Shamdasani even said that, quote, "It is quite distressing to see patients being taken away from their hospital beds. And quite frankly, I do too. I just don't get why innocent people in the African continent have to go through this time after time. When will the violence end? When will the senselessness end? When will the cruelty end?" According to Africa News, the rebels have about 4,000 troops from Rwanda and vowed to march to DRC capital Kinshasa, which is more than 1,000 miles away. So there's a risk that there could be an additional attack in the near future. But how are we going to anticipate this? How are we going to stop this from happening? It turns out that the root of this issue stems from back in 1994, again, during Rwanda's genocide, where they accused the DRC of recruiting Hutu fighters responsible for the whole situation. A 30-year decade could have been the reason why the M23 rebels decided to strike again, with the patients in the hospital at that. A couple weeks back, at least 11 people were killed and dozens injured when explosions in Bukavu hit a rally organized by leaders of the M23 rebel group. The M23 claims it is fighting to protect Tutsis and Congolese of Rwandan origin from discrimination and wants to transform the DRC from a failed state to a modern one. But I don't believe the crap. Analysts have dismissed these pretexts as Rwandan involvement and believe this is so crap, and I'm not buying it. Because while Rwanda is chilling and is in a better economic condition than DR Congo continues to suffer and deal with extreme killings and injustices brought upon them. M23 rebels are terrorizing these innocent people, even in the hospitals, and instead of real action, all we hear from the international community and the UN is, "Oh, wow, that's so horrific. What will we do?" Enough of the performative sympathy. What is the solution? These militia groups need to be dealt with and humbled with decisively. No more watching Congolese people get massacred while leaders make empty statements. African nations, the diaspora, and global allies must demand stronger intervention. Where are the sanctions on those funding these rebel groups? Where is the military defense for innocent Congolese citizens? If the West can mobilize overnight for conflicts elsewhere, why does Congo remain ignored? That's the big question here. Why does Congo remain ignored when the West can mobilize and go take care of other matters in other third world countries, but not in Africa? The world needs to stop treating African lives again as disposable. This is a crisis, and we must flood every platform with awareness, demand action from leaders, and refuse to let this become just another overlooked tragedy. We need all the attention on DR Congo because there's never too much attention given to the fight for justice. Never. Not in 2025. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was great talking with you. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Be blessed, be vigilant, and stay tuned for the next episode on The Real Kasa Show. Hey viewers, if you're looking for some amazing West African cuisines in New Jersey, visit Legit African Touch at 52 Ferry Street, South River, New Jersey. Mama's Secret, only continental dishes, preferably Ghanaian or Nigerian dishes, all in Legit African Touch. Get a feel of the African touch now. What up, viewers of The Real Kasa Show? Make sure to follow The Real Kasa Show on X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok as well.